So this morning, the woman who was heavily intoxicated and crashed into the Swan Boat Club in Michigan. It's Monroe. She killed two children, both from the same family. She's going back into court. It looks like, what is this? This is a preliminary exam. Interesting. Before we go there, though, she did an interview a month ago. I don't know how I didn't catch this.
Well, tonight, a 7 exclusive. For the first time, we are hearing from the driver charged in the Swan Boat Club tragedy, Marshella Chidester, telling us her version of what happened the day she drove her SUV straight into that club. The surveillance video capturing the SUV heading toward the building before it crashed into a birthday party going inside. 2 young children, a brother and sister, were killed. Well, tonight, Chidester telling 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Olsonida she does not remember what happened behind the wheel.
Why did you decide to sit down with us?
I wanted to just let people know, that I'm so very, very disturbed about the situation, and I don't remember what happened. I can only say that I've been praying for everyone that's been injured.
The driver charged in the Swan Boat Club tragedy, 66-year-old Marshella Chidester, sat down with me at her home just feet from the boat club to discuss what happened behind the wheel. On April 20th, prosecutors say Marshella was drunk and drove her car into the boat club, killing siblings Zane and Alana Phillips, injuring over a dozen people who were all attending a children's birthday party. She's charged with second-degree murder and operating under the influence causing death. Marshella is a longtime member of the club.
I would never, ever do anything intentional. Never. I mean, that's just not me. And especially to a boat club that I love so much, and I have family and friends there.
Marshella claims she doesn't remember anything due to her medical conditions, which include neuropathy and heart problems. She also says she has a history of seizures, and her memory goes out during her episodes, which is what she says believes happened that day.
I think I had a seizure. I think that the same thing that my husband said that I did when I have a seizure is just go straight. And I think when I got in the car, that's what happened. I just had the seizure and probably put my foot on the accelerator and crashed into the building.
The prosecution disagrees as.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit here. She put her foot on the accelerator and she had a seizure. Lady, you're drunk. Just like everybody from the boat club who came forward and said they saw you all the time wasted. You left the club wasted and had to be helped out of the building, driven home, walked home, whatever it was. You're an alcoholic, and you need to admit that you're an alcoholic because it's going to come out in court.
Foot on the accelerator and crashed into the building.
The prosecution disagrees, as made clear in her arraignment a few weeks ago.
There was a preliminary breath test done, which indicated that her blood alcohol level was significantly over the legal limit.
I have a perfect record. I don't even have a parking ticket. I don't have any kind of DUI or speeding ticket.
I wanted to.
It's as if she's saying, perfect record, lady, you just never gotten caught before now. And it's so tragic that this time involved deaths. And not just death of anyone, death of children, to make it even worse.
To ask why she got behind the wheel that day, about her alcohol use, but when I tried.
April 20th. Just tell me about your entire day and what you did.
But we're interrupted by her attorney, who says the truth will come out in court and that she cannot speak to things she doesn't remember.
I want strict facts.
Marshella posted her $1.5 million bond 3 weeks ago and remains at home with an ankle monitor. That's a point the family of the victims is furious about, and they are still dealing with the devastation of knowing they will never see their 2 children again.
We honestly still can't believe that she's still free.
Marshella is due back in court in June for a preliminary exam where a judge will decide if there is enough evidence for her to stand trial. In Berlin Township, I'm Ruta Olsenaida, 7 News Detroit.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruta.
I think there's going to be enough evidence. All right, so we're just waiting for court to start. I think it was 8:30 Eastern time is when it was supposed to start. Oh, you guys pray that this woman gets justice. I don't remember what all we've gone over. I'm going to be honest when we looked at this because it's been a while since we looked at it. But I know there was a lot of people talking negative about her. So they're going to file a lawsuit even though.
And I'm Mike Duffy.
We might
Begin tonight with the growing lawsuit in the horrifying crash that killed 2 kids at a birthday party in Monroe County. Thank you so much for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Mike Duffy. Survivors are now suing the boat club in addition to the suspected drunk driver, saying the business is partly responsible for the tragedy.
This all comes as the suspect is out of jail on bond. The family previously telling us they are left with questions and feeling as if the system failed them.
7 News Detroit's Kimberly Craig has more on the victims for justice.
Attorneys for survivors of the deadly crash at the Swan Boat Club say not only was Marshella Chidester negligent that day, but also the boat club for not having barriers like these.
It was described as a war zone.
The attorney representing 8 people injured in the horrific crash at the Swan Boat Club releasing these pictures of the aftermath. It happened during a children's birthday party at the boat club when 66-year-old Marshella Chidester allegedly drove drunk into the building at a high rate of speed, killing 4-year-old Zane Phillips and his 8-year-old sister Alana.
Now we got birthdays coming up, and we still can't even spend it with them.
They originally thought that a bomb had been planted and blew up, that this was some type of terrorist attack.
Attorney John Marco had planned for some of those injured in the crash to speak at his press conference Wednesday, later saying it was just too much for them.
Some of them can't even get into a car right now because they are so traumatized from what happened. They can't leave their house.
Relatives of the children killed say their older brother Jaden still doesn't know that they're gone.
So he still don't know nothing. He's still in the hospital. He's doing somewhat better, but it's still some days to come.
Based on our investigation and what we've seen, this was a dangerous setup out at the Swan Boat Club.
And he says that's why not only is Marshella Chidester being sued, they've also added the Swan Boat Club as a defendant.
If you're going to put a building directly in proximity to a road like that, there has to be some type of protection or basic construction. Just look at the pictures of the way that this building was set up. It looks like it was made by some Boy Scouts.
He kind of sounds like he's reaching. Do you guys think that he sounds all that? I don't know. I almost feel like somebody just trying to make a name for himself because it's a high-profile case. All right, let's go back over here, and we're going to wait for this to come up.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may be seated. Sir, please state your name and spell your name for the record.
My name is William Schmidt, Williamschmidt.
You may proceed, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Schmidt, where do you reside?
6288 Branshaw.
And where is that located in relationship to the Swan Boat Club?
I am directly next door to the Swan Boat Club on the west side.
Okay. And that's located in Newport, Michigan, County of Monroe?
Yes, it is.
Sir, were you home on April 20th of 2024?
Yes, I was.
Did something unusual occur that day?
Yes, I heard a large, what sounded like an explosion at the time.
Okay. You know about what time of day that was?
It was about 2 to 3. Okay. In the afternoon.
When you heard that noise, what did you do?
I assumed it was something going into the dumpster at the boat club because they're always throwing something in there, so you hear large bangs. Went outside to walk the dog, and that's when I noticed that there was a hole in the side of the boat club, and I went to check it out.
Okay. I went to check it out. What did you do specifically?
I walked over there, and I noticed it was a pretty bad scene, so I got out my cell phone and I recorded it to get evidence for whatever the police needed. I know it's important to have those first moments. I didn't realize what I was getting into.
So you live directly next door, so you walked down the road that's the parking lot to the boat club?
Walked across my lawn.
Okay. And you entered how did you enter into the boat club?
I walked through the hole that Marshall drove through.
And you recorded this on your cell phone, you said?
I did. I started recording before I went through the hole because I wasn't sure what I was going to see. I didn't know at the time it was Marshall, my neighbor. I thought there were some other kids that drove a car similar to it. I thought maybe it was them. And so I wanted to make sure to get them in case they tried to run away or do something goofy.
Okay. Eventually, did you give that cell phone recording to law enforcement?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review that cell phone recording after you recorded it?
Yes, I watched it.
And was it a fair and accurate representation of what you saw in the Swan Boat Club that day?
I believe so.
Sir, you also have a video system, a surveillance system on your home. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And how many cameras do you have? Roughly, where are they placed?
I have 4 cameras. They're placed on basically all the corners of the house, so I can get a good view of everything going on the outside of the house.
You have one that faces your driveway?
I do.
And you also have one on the top of the house that faces the Boat Creek Park or the Swan Boat
Swan
parking
Boat
lot?
Club? Yes, I did.
How long have you had this video system?
Probably about 5-6 years.
Okay. You maintain it yourself?
I do.
And it was in good working order on April 20th, 2024?
Yes, it was.
Did you have an opportunity to review those recordings around the time of the crash?
I did.
And did they record anything related to the crash of the Swan Boat Club?
When you say related to the crash, I saw the vehicle go towards the boat club, and I saw the vehicle. The camera doesn't see it slam into the boat club, but you can definitely tell that something happened from the dust cloud and the debris, and of course the screaming.
Okay. Judge, at this time, people move to admit People's Cumulative Exhibit 1 videos from William Paul Schmidt.
Any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
It is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. People would move to proffer those to the court at this time.
I've received it.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Schmidt, this is your camera that faces your driveway?
Yes.
Sorry, Judge, just a moment of technical difficulties.
Need the remote for the TV. The record reflect the people are playing Exhibit 1.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
No further questions from the people for Mr. Schmidt, Judge.
Cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused.
From the people, yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go, sir.
Thank you.
Before we proceed to the next witness, the people filed an amended information. Does the defense waive reading of the complaint?
Yes, Your Honor.
How does the defendant plead?
Stand mute to the charges.
Defendant standing mute, plea of not guilty is entered.
Thank you.
People may call their next witness.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, we'll call Daniel Reardon.
Not guilty. Really?
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated. Please state your name and spell your name for the record.
Daniel Reardon. Want the first name spelled too? Okay. DanielRiordan.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Reardon. Are you familiar with the Swan Boat Club?
Yes, sir.
How are you familiar with it?
I've been a member there for maybe 20 years.
Are you involved in any other capacity with the boat club?
I'm a I'm a past Commodore and I'm currently the Commodore.
What does the Commodore at a boat club do?
Well, I mean, just oversees everything, gives direction to, works with the board, basically, and works with the vice, the rear, like I said, the board, and takes care of anything, question, if someone's got a question, if they got something that's, a problem or something like that, that's it.
Is this an elected position?
Yes.
And were you brought to the boat club on April 20th of 2024?
Yes.
And why were you brought on that day?
I got a page from the rear Commodore saying 911, get back to the boat club.
Do you know about what time you arrived to the boat club?
It's probably about 3:15, 3:20.
And where is the Swan Boat Club located?
6332 Branchall Road, Newport.
That's in the county of Monroe.
Yes.
Was there some event at the boat club on April 20th?
There was a dock party in the morning and a birthday party in the afternoon.
Where was the birthday party located?
In our pavilion.
And that is separate from the boat club, or is that attached to the boat
It's
club?
attached to like a breezeway or garage area.
Okay. Does the boat club have surveillance?
Yes.
And do you have a camera facing the parking lot?
There's a couple cameras facing the
Do you
parking
have one
lot.
that faces the parking lot facing east?
Yes.
And do you have a camera in the pavilion area?
Yes.
And do you have a camera in the breezeway that connects the two buildings?
I'm not sure.
Do you know how the system works? Is it continuous or does it motion capture?
It's continuous. It loops and it stays for like, I think 7 to 14 days.
Is that stored at the boat club on a computer or a device?
Yes, up in the office.
Okay. Do you know who has access to the system?
Well, at that time we had just changed. We never got real good access, but one of the past rear Commodore had access to it, and a couple others. But there's only a handful of people that got access to the office.
Do you have access to it?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did you take law enforcement to obtain or to view the videos?
We did, but I had to contact the past rear Commodore to gain access to it.
Why is that?
Because at that time, he knew how to hook it back. You got to unplug one computer and plug in another computer in order to look at it on the video screen.
I see. But you were able to display it for law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay. And these recordings they're made every day, regardless of what's going on. You didn't do this specifically for today.
No, they're every day.
To your knowledge, the date and time stamp on the video, are they accurate?
Yes.
And how did law enforcement receive a copy of the videos?
Well, we informed them that we had a video, and they asked if they could take a copy, and they came back and took a copy of it.
Judge, we would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
The objection. Your Honor, if we could have it played and then see if there's an objection, we can move for admission is what I would propose. I will reserve my rule.
Okay.
Holy moly. Good gracious. He could not. Y'all, please tell me. Yes, you know why that's the father. You know what he's doing. He's looking for his children. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is awful. Oh, this is a different angle. Oh my gosh. Oh, they went in on the other side. See, they just opened a door on the other side of the car to the building to get to the front of her vehicle. At least that's what it looks like. Maybe a window? I think it was a door. Oh my gosh. That was a child on the bar that just got pulled down. She would look like she was okay, though. Can you imagine? They're looking for the missing kids right now. Probably looking around going, okay, is everybody accounted for? Who are we missing? Oh my gosh.
Is this the breezeway you were referring to?
Yes.
want to know where her house was. Adjacent to the bar. Now, the mom was really badly injured as well, right? I got to go back over here and look at the details because I forgot all the details of this one. Is that the other door? That's what that... You think that's what that is? No. Yeah, there's the father. See, he's trying to get to the kids. That's the father right there. He can't do anything. Bless his heart. His wife's... I think that's his wife and his kids. Because she was in the hospital for a while, right? Is that her? Oh my gosh. The blonde? Or is that just a whole different person? I thought that was the father. I could be wrong. Or is that a different guy? We can watch these again. Once we get more information, we can go back and rewatch these after they have this hearing. Yeah, see, that's the father right there. Look, bless his heart.
Then we'll renew our request to admit Exhibit 2. No objection.
Oh my God, they were trapped. I did not know all this.
No further questions from this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
No question.
Is the witness excused?
The people excuse the witness, Judge.
Defense as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
People may call their next witness.
Judge, people call Sergeant Mike Omia.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated. Sergeant, please state your name and spell your name for the record.
My name's Sergeant Michael Bomia, Michaelbomia.
Mr. Lorraine.
Thank you, Judge. Morning, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer with the Mineral County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
19 years.
Is your entire law enforcement career been with the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
And you hold all the training, education, and certifications necessary to be a peace officer in the state of Michigan?
Yes, I do, sir.
Were those up to date on April 20th of this year?
Yes, sir.
Were you working that day?
Yes, sir.
What was your assignment?
I am the shift supervisor for the Days B platoon.
And what does a shift supervisor do on the day shift at the sheriff's office?
I supervise the and coordinate the road patrol activities for the deputies that are working.
Okay. What's road patrol for the record?
They would be the officers that respond to calls for service in the police cars and for people that need help or answer 911 calls.
Okay. Are you mobile when you do this work, or are you usually at the sheriff's office?
I try to be as mobile as much as I can during my shift, sir.
Okay. Very good. Did you receive a dispatch that brought us here today
Yes, sir.
on April 20th?
Yes, sir.
What was that dispatch?
Mineral County Central Dispatch broadcasted a serious injury crash that occurred at the Swan Boat Club. They relayed that there was a car that had crashed into a building, trapping people underneath and injuring several others.
What did you do in response to this dispatch?
I was at North Dixie Highway and Interstate 75, and I responded with my lights and sirens.
Did you eventually arrive at the boat club?
Yes, sir.
What did you observe when you arrived?
It was a very a chaotic scene. There was a very large hole in the side of the building. There was multiple people laying on the ground, asking for assistance in different states of injury.
Were you the first law enforcement officer to respond?
Yes, sir.
And were any other first responders there when you arrived?
There was several fire departments that firefighters had shown up just as I arrived.
You indicated there was a hole in the building. Did you enter the building?
Yes, sir.
And what did you see inside the building?
I found I believe it was a dark blue Ford Edge crashed into the building. There was several other victims lying on the floor. And then there was also a set of folding chairs with several people sitting on those folding chairs.
Okay. At some point, was the defendant in this case pointed out to you?
Yes, sir. I asked witnesses if the driver was here, and they pointed out to the suspect.
And did she identify herself to you?
Yes, sir.
Do you see the person who identified herself to you as the driver of the vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we'll stipulate to the defendant identification.
Stipulation is entered.
Thank you, Judge. What did you do with the driver of the vehicle at that time?
I began to escort her out of the building, and I asked her if she was okay, if she was injured during the crash, and how she ended up crashing into the building.
Okay. And what did you do with her at that time?
I secured her in the back seat of my patrol car.
Okay. What did you do after that?
I started to help out the first responders as much as I could, looking for other victims, which we found several in the area that was then in front of where the vehicle crashed in a separate room.
Okay. Sergeant, were you assigned a body-worn camera at this time?
Yes, sir.
And was that functional and operational at the time of this incident?
Yes, sir.
Have you had an opportunity to review the footage from that camera?
I did, sir.
And is it a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, people would move to admit portions of Sergeant Pomia's body-worn camera.
Any objection?
Your Honor, again, I would just ask that it be played prior to being admitted.
Orders there on another request.
Okay. At this time, Judge, we'll move to proffer it to the court.
You may proceed.
1517 Central Hudson.
They're on their way. Which one? Maybe you can come with me just for a second. Are you driving? Can you come with me just for a second? Okay. This one out here. Where you going? Over towards my car. Got it, hon? Yes. What happened? I passed out. Okay. Have you been feeling ill or anything like that? Yes. What kind of medical conditions do you have? Seizures. Seizures? Okay. Were you here for the party? No. What were you on here the boat club for? I was just coming down here. Okay. Oh my God, this is terrible. So you take medications for seizure, you said? Have you been drinking it all today? A little bit, yes. Okay. When's the last time you had something to drink? Probably half an hour ago. Half an hour ago? What do you drink? Wine. Wine? Okay. What's your name, hon? Marshella. Marshella what? Chidester. Chidester, okay. You don't have any weapons on you, do you? No. All right, I'm just going to leave you back here just for a little bit, okay? Okay. All right. Do you need to see any medical attention right now? I don't think so. Okay. I'm going to roll down this window over here. Just get you some air, okay? Okay. I just want to separate her from everything that's going on. Give me a W. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so they're on you. You guys are on your smart? No.
I guess they're in my trunk, but.
Where's your trunk at? So
We've already stipulated in the court center an order regarding medical records of certain individuals that were hurt in the crash. I would stipulate to this being entered for preliminary examination purposes, but we've already stipulated these individuals being hurt. So as to the purpose of playing it, I don't know the relevancy.
Response from the people.
Judge, we need to ID the victims.
I would stipulate to them. I've already done it with the medical records.
Judge, it also illustrates the scene at the time, the chaotic nature of it. I believe it's quite relevant to this matter.
As to the scene, I'll stipulate that it looked the way it did and what happened, and my client's vehicle entered the building. Anything else would be just completely irrelevant. I'm stipulating that these people were injured as a result of her motor vehicle crashing through the building.
Are you stipulating also the admissibility of it?
Admissibility of this video?
Correct.
I stipulate to the admissibility for preliminary examination purposes.
That's fine.
So to bind over, I have to find that there has been a serious impairment of bodily function of each victim. Are you stipulating as to that?
Well, Your Honor, that's where the order that's been entered by stipulation of the parties that the medical records are going to be entered. It's my understanding through the prosecutor that may have been sent over to the court maybe a day prior so the court could have time to digest it and review it. So in effect, if the medical records show a serious impairment of an important body function, then it does, and we would not object for preliminary examination purposes. But unless the video is showing something of my client making a comment or something like that, It's really irrelevant, Your Honor.
It does, Your Honor. We've shown that she says she was driving. She says she was drinking. She says that she takes medication. All are elements of the charges today, Judge.
Your Honor, I understand, but to go further in this video, there's really no need. It's not relevant. They already got in what took place, and I'll stipulate that that's accurate.
A question before the court is the extent of the victim's injuries. Whether a serious impairment of bodily function occurred to each one of the victims named in the complaint. I have reviewed the medical record, but I do believe the video evidence from the scene is relevant as to that. Your MRE 402 objection is overruled.
Okay, I respect that, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. I don't know
Good.
if I'm going to be able to find the exact spot, so if it's okay with the court, can I restart? I can attempt if you'd like.
But I give you a few minutes to get to the point. I'll take it 5 minutes.
Thank you, Judge.
All rise.
District Court's in recess. You may be seated.
Central. Okay. Proof my pants off. So my truck's right there. In my bulletproof.
I think this is approximately it. I cannot, with the way PowerPoint works, I can't pause in the middle of it, so I'm just going to play it like this. I'm ready. Thanks.
All rise. First District Court is back in session. You may be seated. We are back on the record. You may proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Judge. I believe we found the approximate location that we stopped.
Did I use that? No. I guess it is in my trunk, but where's your trunk at? So there it is. So my truck's right there. In my bulletproof, my attack vest, the scissors. I need to put the pants off. Right there. It's in the back seat. Yeah. You guys have scissors?
What's the name? Jaden. Is this Jaden? Jaden. Jaden. Do you know where Jaden's at? Next. That's why I find you. What's your first name? Edward. Edward. My name is Nick and this is Steve. We're here for you. You want to please tell us from me? Hands are hurt. Your back hurt. Your front leg. I know, buddy. Everybody do this? No. I'm just gonna write down his name and stuff. So I guess you guys have it, right? How much can you move this on? This is a good one. Edward. It's Edward, right? E-W-A-R-E. What's your middle name, Edward? Thomas. And then last name Smothers. S-M-O. I don't have to use that. What's your last name again, Ed? Smothers. S-M-O-U-T-H-E. Yeah. Okay. What's your date of birth?
And that's the end of the portions we're proffering, Judge.
Any additional objections to its admission from the defense?
No, Your Honor, no objection at this time.
It is admitted.
And Sergeant, just one more question. You had an opportunity to review this video. You reviewed the timestamp on it,
Yes, sir.
and is that accurate with when you were at the scene?
Yes, sir.
All right, no further questions for the Sergeant, Judge.
Cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused.
From the people, yes, thank you, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Thank you. People may call their next witness.
Your Honor, people call Deputy Madison Fleck.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated. Deputy, please state your name and spell your name.
Madison Fleck, Madison Fleck.
You may proceed.
Good morning, Deputy. How are you employed?
I'm employed through the Monroe County Sheriff's Office as a deputy sheriff,
How long have you been in that position?
approximately 4.5 years.
Were you in any other law enforcement position prior to that?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you certified to be a peace officer in the state of Michigan?
Yes, sir.
And you were on April 20th?
Yes, sir.
You were working on April 20th as a deputy?
Yes, sir.
And did something bring you to the Swan Boat Club?
A call came in through Monroe County Central Dispatch, and I responded to it.
And do you know approximately what time you arrived at the scene?
No, sir.
Can you describe the scene when you arrived?
When I arrived, there was multiple EMS and fire personnel already on scene, as well as my supervisor, Sergeant Lumia, and Deputy Schmidt. And then when I responded into the venue, there was chaos. There were still people being treated and pulled out of the building.
Did you meet any individuals that had been injured on that date?
Yes, when I first walked in, I responded to Denise Roberts, as well as Patricia Raths, and then I also observed Leah Sith and Diane Medina.
Are you issued a body-worn camera?
Yes, sir.
Were you wearing it on that day?
Yes, sir.
Was it in good working order to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Did you have an opportunity to review that video?
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of what you witnessed?
Yes.
Judge, I would move to admit what is proposed Exhibit 4, a compilation of the deputy's body-worn camera.
I'll object at this time pending us seeing the video and her identifying the video. I will reserve ruling now. Thank you.
Exhibit 4?
This is Exhibit 4, Your Honor, Judge.
On the floor. These guys are nothing wrong. I just got one pediatric back there. I don't even know. She's 18. Yeah, the lab is 11.
Is there anybody? I got this series of information. I'm just starting working on getting that
Both sides.
No, just try to stay out of the way of everybody and help where you can.
She's probably the most critical. I've attended to all three of them. So that is
She's allergic to amoxicillin. You're welcome. Are you really?
I'm right behind you. I'm assuming she was operating.
I think they want to leave her right for right now, just because.
I don't know if it's attached anywhere. Here we go.
It should.
Just in case.
Let me put,
Thank you.
oh, no, that's not heavy enough.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, I'm gonna get, were you in here when it happened? No, you need to witness it at all? Okay.
Her name's Diane.
Medina? No. Does it hurt pretty much everywhere right now? My lower back down. Okay. Just try to take some deep breaths, okay? As deep breaths as you can. Yep. As deep breaths as you can. Well, they're hitting this guy, and then you're coming up next. Okay. Okay. They got to get her on them. These, they were right in front, so we'll keep her right there. You guys need any help back there? Good. Okay. Sir, so you been cutting your station yet? No. Will you witness it? Okay.
I was in the bar, I just heard it and came in and tried to help out, so, but I didn't see when it actually happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start getting information.
That's the end of the video, Judge.
Your Honor, no objection to it being made.
It is admitted.
Deputy, to your knowledge, is the date and timestamp correct on this video?
Yes.
No further questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
I have no question, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused.
People excuse the witness, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're free to go. Thanks. People may call their next witness.
Your Honor, people call Deputy Schmidt.
Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Deputy, please state your name and spell your name for the record.
Deputy Stephen Schmidt, STEVEN SCHMIDT.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Deputy. How are you employed?
By the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been in that position?
4 years.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
I do.
And can you tell me what that is, please?
I started my career with the Riverview Police Department, and then I also worked with the Dundee Police Department.
In all, how long have you been employed in law enforcement?
7 years.
Are you certified to be a law enforcement officer in the state of Michigan?
I am.
And you were so on April 20th?
I am. I was.
You were employed as a deputy and working on April 20th?
Yes.
Do you have training investigating operating while intoxicated?
I do.
Can you tell me what training you have?
I have SFSD, Standard Field Sobriety Test training through Wayne County Regional Police Academy. I also have refresher training, as well as advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement training.
Deputy, do you have any idea approximately how many OWI arrests you've been involved in?
Approximately 40 to 50, somewhere in that range. I'm not exactly sure.
Understood. Can you please describe the scene when you first arrived?
So when I first arrived on scene, I got out of my patrol vehicle and it was chaotic. There were people running around screaming. There's injured people everywhere. I saw a hole in the side of the boat club. As I started to walk towards it, I noticed a small child laying on the ground. The child did not appear to be breathing or moving. At that time, I felt that there was most likely more people inside that might need medical attention. So I entered the breezeway area of the boat club. That's where I met with Conservation Officer Nick Ingersoll. He asked me for some help. There was a young boy in there that had an injury that needed attending to.
At some point, did you interact with the defendant?
I did.
And did you administer field sobriety tests?
I did.
What test did you administer?
The first test I administered was a horizontal gaze nystagmus.
And what were the results of that test?
I was not able to complete that test.
Why is that?
The defendant could not focus on my finger, which was the stimulus for the test, so I wasn't able to complete it after multiple times.
Is that a sign of intoxication?
It could be.
What other test did you administer?
I administered counting backwards from a number to another number of my choosing.
What were the results of that test?
She was not able to complete that test. She miscounted.
Did you do any other tests on the defendant?
Objection, Your Honor. How did she miscount?
Who could describe how she miscounted?
The counting started from 100 and went down to 88. She started with 100 and then counted down to 90, and then she had some miscountings in there. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear him. He wasn't sure. Is that what you said,
You
sir?
said that there were miscountings.
Yeah, there were miscountings after the number 90.
And did you say what they were?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Did you administer any other sobriety tests?
I did.
What else did you administer?
The alphabet. I asked her to recite the alphabet A through Z without singing.
And what was the result of that?
She was able to pass that test and complete that test.
The horizontal gaze nystagmus, is that one of the standardized tests?
It is.
How many standardized field sobriety tests are there?
3.
Did you administer any of the other standardized field sobriety tests?
I did not.
Why is that, Deputy?
Due to her physical condition at the time, when I was able to speak with her and get her out of the back of the vehicle, she advised me that she had neuropathy in her hands and feet. The other 2 tests that are standardized are physical tests, the walk and turn and the one-leg stand. I felt that by putting her through those tests, it could put herself in harm by potentially falling or tripping, and so that's why I chose not to do those tests.
Understood. Did you notice any other signs of intoxication?
I did.
What did you notice?
The odor of intoxicants coming off her person, her inability to maintain balance, and then also her eyes were bloodshot, watery.
And at some point, did you place her under arrest?
I did.
What did you arrest her for?
Suspicion of operating while intoxicated.
Deputy, keep your voice up, please.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
And at some point, did you have an interaction with another deputy named Karina?
I did.
And was this after the field sobriety tests?
Yes.
What's Deputy Karina's role in this matter?
Deputy Karina is a DRE, a drug recognition expert.
What is a drug recognition expert?
He's able to essentially, it's a more advanced SFST training where he's able to put a driver into different types of tests to determine exactly what kind of substance they're under the influence of.
And is it fair to say at this point, Deputy Karina took over the
He did
investigation?
He did at that point, yes.
Okay. What does Deputy Karina, were you present during that time?
I was.
And what does Deputy Karina do with the defendant after he takes over?
He starts speaking to her about different.
Objection, Your Honor, as to hearsay.
Response.
I'm not asking for what Deputy Karina said. I'm
Okay.
just generally asking, does he administer any other tests or anything that's admissible that we can discuss?
Sustain.
No other sobriety tests.
Okay. Were you issued a body worn camera at the time?
I was.
And were you wearing it on that day and time?
I was.
And were you present during the interview between Deputy Karina and the defendant?
Yes.
Have you reviewed Deputy Karina's body cam video?
I have.
And is it a fair and accurate representation of what you witnessed?
Yes.
And prior, you had a body cam on as well, correct?
I did.
Did that camera capture the conversation as well?
It did.
Is there some reason we can't show that today?
I'm not sure.
Was your volume on, Deputy?
Oh, it was not.
So it's muted.
Correct.
You cannot hear anything that's said.
Correct.
Okay. Judge, we're going to move to admit Exhibit 5, which is a brief, torn down version of Deputy Karina's body cam video, which shows the interview with the defendant.
Objection, Your Honor, again, hearsay. This person, deputy, is not here for whatever reason to authenticate if that's true and accurate at that date and time.
Judge, this deputy just authenticated it. He was present during the interview. His body cam was on as well. However, it was muted, but he can testify to what was said. So he can, it is not hearsay as he can be cross-examined. He was present during the interview.
Well, if there's any testimony, voice of Deputy Farina, that's hearsay. He's not here to verify that that's him speaking and what he said and date and time.
Are you objecting on the confrontation clause or hearsay?
It would be hearsay and confrontation. Both.
Judge, Deputy Karina's statements are not offered to prove the matter asserted. So it's not hearsay.
Well, it is. That's, then why are they showing it?
Because we want the defendant's statements, Judge, which are offered to prove the matter asserted.
Your Honor, confrontation.
All right. The Michigan Supreme Court has held the confrontation clause does not apply to preliminary examinations. So it's denied on those grounds. As to hearsay, I'll reserve on that. I'd like to see the video.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Judge, we're going to offer what is people's proposed Exhibit 5 at this time. Actually, one quick question, Deputy. To your knowledge, prior to this interview, was the defendant Mirandized?
She was.
And by that, she was read her Miranda rights?
Correct.
Your Honor, who read the rights? When were they read?
Is that an objection, Judge?
Yes, I object. Because if there's any statements or anything, I'd like to know that she was read her rights.
Judge, we have provided the defense counsel all of these videos. He's had an opportunity to review them. We, for the brevity of this hearing, we have cut down countless hours. So if the defense counsel wants to argue that we shouldn't be showing all of this video, but then he says we should show more. So we can't have it both ways, Judge. Either we're going to be here for 4 days watching video, or we have to cut it down. Also, there are some inadmissible things, so we have to remove those as well. So for brevity, we did, and we skipped over the Miranda right portion. He's been provided this. He can review it. He has all of these videos.
Are you objecting on the rule of completeness? Or?
She wasn't given, or I don't see any Miranda rights being given. If they were given, the person would have to come forward and say that she was Mirandized. And so we don't have a person here. I don't know. They have the burden of proof to prepare for today. Just because I'm given records or DVDs doesn't mean that I fold and I'm as well sit outside. So, Your Honor, just because they give me things doesn't mean that I stipulate to everything. So, Your Honor, that's their case to prepare. And I don't have any knowledge of the Miranda rights of a person today that's going to be testifying. Thank you.
Do you wish to voir dire the witness as to the Miranda statement?
Are you talking to me, Judge?
Yes.
He has the burden of proof, but okay. Officer, did you read the Miranda rights, commonly referred to as Miranda rights, advice of rights to my client?
I did not.
And did you ever have my client sign or initial each Mirandized right?
I did not.
We rest, Your Honor.
Deputy, were you present when the Miranda rights were read to defendant?
I was.
And were the complete rights read?
They were.
And who read those rights?
Deputy Karina.
All right. Judge, I would further state that no motion to suppress has been brought. This is not the time or place to argue this. He could have brought a motion prior to this. Nothing has been, this is the first we've heard of it, Judge.
Your Honor, I'm supposed to be Nostradamus and figure out what they're going to do in the future. They have the burden of proof. Don't put it on me because they may not be prepared. So they're the ones that are going to bring in statements. You have the officers, and you don't have to worry about hearsay. They have the burden of proof. I don't. I'm sort of in their sandbox today. So, Your Honor, please don't allow them to put the burden on me or my client because they may not be prepared for today. Thank you.
And your objection to the statement is?
It's hearsay. He's saying he heard somebody say some rights. Well, I'd like to be able to see that. And if the evidence is no longer around, then it's to be used against them. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, what exception or exemption to the hearsay rule do you believe the testimony falls under?
Your Honor, it's not hearsay. He's telling you what he saw, what he witnessed. And it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted, Judge. That we aren't burdened by proving that these are admissible. He can object to the admissibility of them. He can file motions to suppress. None of that has happened. He's had this evidence for months, Judge. We've been prepared for this case for months.
Now, if I get this right, listening respectfully, Judge, to the logic of the prosecutor, I'm supposed to know ahead of time of what he's going to put in court. And then I'm supposed to file a written motion of what he may put in court. I can't get in his brain. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea what evidence that he's moving forward. And he knows that you got to have the officer here or the person here that allegedly read any rights or had them signed off. That's a critical portion of this case. And it's a critical proceeding, part of the proceeding of a preliminary examination of waiving your rights. I'm sure that if it doesn't have anything to do with the case or it's that material, then why are we talking about it today? They're fighting strenuously to bring something in. Is it part of the elements? I think that's material. So, Your Honor, respectfully, under the hearsay rule, I can't cross-examine based on a third party talking about what he heard. Thank you.
Question of suppression isn't before the court. The only question is this a hearsay statement? It is an out-of-court statement by a declarant. Does not appear to fall under an exception or exemption. Objection is the same.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Do you remember what happened when you?
Oh yeah, I pulled
Your
into the
Honor,
parking lot.
I'm
And
objecting. I'm objecting and he's still playing.
You objected as to the testimony of the witness, correct?
Of my client. I objected to my client and the witness, both. They haven't shown any waiver. She certainly is detained. She couldn't walk home from there. And they had an absolute duty to inform her of her Miranda rights. So I object to that because nobody's talking about the Miranda rights because they didn't bring the person in that allegedly read the rights to her.
So what is the legal basis for your objection as to playing the video?
Because it's a statement, any statements that can be used against my client. She didn't sign off on her Miranda rights prior to giving a statement and prior to being questioned. She's clearly being questioned. And she's been in custody. She couldn't walk out of there.
Response from the people.
Your Honor, it appears he's arguing a motion to suppress and a hearsay argument at the same time, Judge. Her statements are clearly admissible. So if it's a motion to suppress, that should have been brought prior to today. So if the court wants, we can play the whole video. We have it on video where she's read her Miranda rights. It'll take a minute, Judge, but we can gather that.
And as to hearsay, this is a statement by party opponent is admissible. Hearsay objection is overruled. He does have the right under the rule of completeness to have the whole video played.
May we approach, Judge?
Yes.
I had no idea this was going to take so long today, or I would have been doing this live. But that's okay. We watch it tonight together. What do you guys think about what he's arguing? I kind of feel like he has a good point. Has the judge seen the video of the Miranda rights? Probably not. And they've got to prove that was done, or all this is just void. So I kind of feel like the defense attorney is making a good point, as much as I hate to say that.
starting under the rule of completeness to see the entire video. They have objected under the confrontation clause to the playing of this video. I'm overruling that. The Michigan Supreme Court has held that the confrontation clause does not apply to preliminary examinations. That Sixth Amendment right is limited to trials. There is a part of this video that includes the preliminary breathalyzer test. That is not admissible under Michigan law. Although it will be played, I will not consider it in this proceeding.
Judge, for clarification purposes, is the defense counsel asserting the completion rule? Or are they willing to allow the redacted and shortened video be played?
I mean, we can, based upon the court's ruling for preliminary examination purposes only, a shorter version we would stipulate to.
Thank you, Judge. You need some time to cue
I
that.
think we were at the very beginning here, so I'll just start over if it's okay with the court. It's a brief video, 2 or 3 minutes long.
Okay, you may proceed.
Judge, we are properly proposing Exhibit 5 at this point, Judge.
Exhibit 5 is playing.
Okay. Going around here?
No, not really. I pulled into the parking lot and I thought I was driving up to the boat club and evidently I was driving right to the pavilion.
Which direction did you drive from?
I live right down the street.
Okay, so you were coming from that way?
Yes.
This way? When you got to the parking lot, what happened?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you think there's a reason you don't remember? Did something happen or?
You know what? I have these seizures and
Okay. Do you have anything where it says like maybe that, did your doctor permit you to drive and everything?
I'm cleared to drive now and I don't have my purse with me, but I do have a card in my purse.
Okay. When's the last time you had a seizure that you know of?
March.
In March?
Yeah.
Okay. So in March is the last time you remember that you had a seizure.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this. Were you hospitalized for it?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have like at home or something?
No, I was in Monroe for 4 days and Toledo for 6 days.
I'm sorry, did you have your seizure while you were at home? Or did you have it
I had it at home and then I did have one when I was in the hospital.
when you were in the hospital? Okay. And March is going to be the last time you had that seizure?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you think is your normal behavior when you have a seizure? Is it have lapses of memory?
Yes.
That? Okay. So once you got to the parking lot, you don't remember anything.
I don't.
Okay. Okay. I guess all the questions I have for you now. Deputy Schmidt's gonna take you over from here. Okay. Is there on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being like you're stone cold sober, you can drive perfectly. 10 being you're passed out drunk. Where do you think you're at right now?
7.
A 7. Okay. Do you think you're okay to drive?
I wouldn't want to drive.
You wouldn't let you drive?
No.
Okay. Okay, just give me 1 second, okay? Sorry, my phone's ringing. I think it's gonna be my boss. I apologize.
She just admitted.
Renew our request to move to admit Exhibit 5, Judge.
Any additional objections from the defense?
No additional objections.
It is admitted.
Deputy, who transported the defendant to the hospital?
I did.
And why were you transporting her to the hospital?
To perform the blood draw for the OWI investigation.
And at some point during the transport or your time with her, did she tell you why she was going to the boat club that day?
Yes.
What did she say?
She advised me that she was on her way to attend a birthday party at the boat club.
What hospital did you transport her to?
No.
Hospital.
And did that hospital draw her blood?
They did.
Were you present during the blood draw?
I was.
What happened to the blood after it was drawn?
It was placed back into the blood kit by me along with the corresponding paperwork.
Is that a kit that gets sealed away?
It is.
And that kit, you sealed it in the usual manner?
Yes.
And it was transported where?
Back to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
And ultimately, where did it end up?
Evidence.
Was it transported at some point to the crime lab?
It was.
Lansing? Okay. Did you receive the results back?
I did.
Judge, I'm going to show the exhibit. What is the People's Proposed Exhibit 6?
Objection, Your Honor, there's lack of foundation.
Judge, this comes in under MCL 766.11B without foundation. I'm just being nice here, Judge.
Response? I would like to cross-examine the deputy.
He'll have that opportunity, Judge.
Under the Code of Criminal Procedure, it's a self-authenticating document for the purposes of preliminary examination. No foundation is required. It is admitted.
Thank you, Judge.
May I see it prior to being admitted?
Am I right to say that she just said she didn't think she should be driving, but she said it because of the seizures?
Tell me, you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the laboratory report from the crime lab.
And can you please read the results of the report, please?
So item number 1 that was tested was for blood, which came back to a 0.18 grams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood.
Deputy, do you know the legal limit for operating while intoxicated in the state of Michigan?
0.08.
And do you know the limit for operating with a high blood alcohol content in the state of Michigan?
0.17.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Deputy. I'll take that from you. Did you receive another lab report, Deputy?
I did.
I'm going to show you what is marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 7, Judge. We will also be requesting this be admitted under 76.11B.
Your Honor, same objection as previously. I'd like to take a look at the exhibit.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Deputy.
Objection is overruled being a self-authenticating document.
Thank you, Judge. It is admitted?
It is admitted.
Thank you. Judge, Deputy, this is Exhibit 7. Did you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It is the supplemental lab report that came back from the crime lab.
And can you please tell me what the results of that report are?
The crime lab detected gabapentin in her system.
Does it provide a level or it just indicates gabapentin?
It says 1.3 UG per milliliter. I don't know what UG stands for.
Understood. Thank you. I don't have any further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. In the tape, is that you talking on the videotape that's played earlier?
This one right here, sir?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Who's that talking?
That's Deputy Cody Carino.
Okay. And he's not here today, right?
Correct.
Okay. And my client was asked, what number do you feel you are today? And she responded per video, number 7, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The video never says that under the influence of intoxicants, what number are you? Do you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. And do you agree that it could be interpreted you just went through a wall and you wouldn't be able to, you don't feel like driving a car?
Possibly.
Objection, Your Honor. I think he's mischaracterizing the evidence. The deputy said on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being you're completely sober, 10 being you're passed out drunk.
No, Your Honor, he's trying to testify.
Judge, we can watch the video again. That's what was stated.
Your Honor, you heard what the deputy sheriff said.
What is your response to the objection?
The objection is the officer testified. He speaks for himself. He was there, and it wasn't said about the alcohol. Whatever the court heard on a video, the court heard. I'm not going to object to that.
Overruled, I'll give it to you.
And now they're accepting what he's saying.
And then the question of my client is, do you feel that you should be able to drive or not drive? And my client answered no. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if she said no, based upon her just getting through driving through a wall.
Objection, Your Honor. He's calling for the asking the witness to speculate to what the defendant knew or didn't know.
Response. Well, he was there, Your Honor. He would be able to answer or not answer.
Sustained and speculative.
Okay, officer, when asked of my client of does she feel she could drive the car, drive the vehicle, whatever may have been said or asked, and she said no. Was there any mention of alcohol in that sentence or that question about being able to drive? Can you drive?
No, but I believe Deputy Karina's scale that he gave mentions alcohol in it.
Okay, now earlier you said no, but now you're saying yes.
What do you mean?
About alcohol being mentioned. Earlier you said no, it wasn't mentioned.
Well, when he asked her about the level of 1 to 10, whatever, stone cold, sober, or passed out drunk.
All right, and as to operating the vehicle, whether to operate it or not, was the word alcohol used in that sentence or that phrase?
By the defendant?
No,
Oh.
by the officer.
Then no.
And did you go to the hospital of when the blood sample was taken of my client?
I did.
And when the blood sample was taken, do you use a state police kit?
I do.
Okay. And the state police kit, did it have 2 vials in it?
It did.
Okay. And you saw somebody draw blood?
Correct.
Okay. Is that person here today?
No.
And when then you opened up the vials, the 2 glass vials, am I correct? There's a seal on them?
I didn't open the glass vials.
Who opened the glass vials?
I don't know if they were opened. I don't remember that.
Do you remember if the vials were sealed?
Were they sealed?
Yes. There's a package.
Right.
That there's this kit, they call it.
Right.
And you opened it?
Correct.
You were in charge,
correct? Correct.
Okay. And when you opened it, did it have 2 vials in it?
It did.
Okay. And then you took the vials out, correct?
Correct.
And those vials are to hold blood, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then what did you do with the vials? Was there any seal on them? Or there wasn't a seal?
I placed them back in the cardboard that's in the kit, and then I folded up the box, and there's a shipping seal that comes inside.
Let me back up.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe I wasn't clear. It was prior to the blood being drawn.
Okay.
Did you unseal them?
Like the actual tubes itself?
Yes, the vials.
No.
Yes. You never unsealed them?
I don't unseal the tubes.
Okay. Who unseals the tube, if anybody?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they're ever unsealed.
Okay. How does the blood get in the tube if it's not opened and unsealed?
I am assuming through the IV that they draw.
An IV?
Or when they put the needle in her arm and.
You were there watching this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's very important. What did you specifically see regarding these files after you opened them? What did you do with them?
Objection, Your Honor. He's already testified he didn't open the vials, that they were
No.
sealed.
Your Honor, I'd like to be able to examine him. It's very short. It's only a few questions.
Overruled. Give you a little leeway.
Thank you, Your Honor. Once you opened up this state police kit,
right,
what did you do with the vials?
Give them to the phlebotomist.
Okay. You never unsealed them, correct?
No.
And you don't know if there was a seal on them, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how many times have you done this in cases?
A lot.
Like, what would that be? Would you say per month, per year? Just I won't hold you to it. Just
Per year, I would say approximately. It just depends. It could be a couple to upwards of 8, 9, 10. I'm not sure exactly.
And how many years have you been doing this?
7 years.
And did you look at these glass tubes, these vials, prior to giving them to somebody?
I did.
Okay. You don't know if there was a seal or not, correct?
I don't recall. There's something on the top. I don't know what it is. I'm
You
not.
said there is something on the top,
There's a white piece on the top. I don't know what it is.
but you never removed anything prior to giving it.
I never have. No.
And was the tubes, when you look at them,
Yes.
and you pull them out, did you make sure there was nothing in them?
Well, there's like a white powder in them. I think it has something to do with reacting with the blood potentially.
What did you do when the person that drew this blood gave you the tubes back?
Put them back in the seal. Put them back in the container.
Did you do anything with the tubes, like shake them or not shake them, or just put them in the box? What did you do?
Just put them back in the cardboard that it comes in.
Okay.
And then there's a sticker that goes on it.
And did you have custody of this, or did somebody have custody after you brought it back to the station, I presume?
It went into an evidence locker.
Okay. Is the evidence locker refrigerated?
No, it's not.
Do you know any of the rules or regulations concerning refrigeration of blood samples and fermentation that may take place that if it's not refrigerated?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I don't have any more questions.
Can you redirect them to people?
No, Judge.
May the witness be excused.
People excuse this witness, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor. People may call their next witness.
Judge, people call Detective Sergeant Jeffrey Hooper.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated, Detective. Please state your name and spell your name for the record.
Detective Sergeant Jeff Hooper, Jeffhooper.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Detective Sergeant, what do you do for a living?
So I am the sergeant for the Detective Bureau for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Roughly, what does that mean?
So basically, I supervise the detectives and detective investigations and stuff along those lines.
Okay. How long have you been a law enforcement officer?
Just shy of 24 years.
And is that all with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office?
It is.
And how long have you been a detective?
Approximately 9 years in investigations.
And you've been the head of the Detective Bureau for how long?
Approximately a year.
Were you involved in this investigation?
I was.
And what was your role?
So on the 20th, I was contacted by Lieutenant Zebek and advised of the situation. I responded to the scene, basically coordinated the evidence collection efforts on the scene.
Okay. And did you continue to be a part of this investigation subsequent?
Yes.
And as part of the investigation, did you take part in an interview with the defendant on April 21st?
I did.
Okay. So you had an opportunity to speak with her?
Yes.
You had an opportunity to Mirandize her prior to conducting that interview?
Yes.
And I only want to ask you one question about that interview, deputy or detective. Did she indicate where she was headed on April 20th?
Birthday party at the boat club.
Further on in your investigation the next day, on April 22nd, do you have opportunity to execute a search warrant on the defendant's house?
We did.
And what were you roughly looking for at the defendant's home?
We known that they had surveillance cameras at the residence, and so we were looking for a DVR or NVR, digital video recorder.
When you arrived at the residence, were you able to locate cameras?
Yes.
How many cameras?
4.
And where were they located on the property?
So one was on the interior of the house in the kitchen. Another one was on the barn across the street. And then there were 2 on the garage, one facing the main entry door of the residence, and then one on the driveway where the vehicles would park.
Okay. Were those cameras wireless, corded?
They were wireless.
Okay. Were you able to find where they were connected?
Yes.
Where were they connected to in the home?
So basically the DVR, which was wireless, was in a upstairs utility room, for lack of better words. And it was upstairs there where it had a monitor also with it displaying the videos.
Okay. Were you able to access that DVR unit at that time?
No.
Well, let me ask it a different way. Was the DVR functional at that time?
It was functional, yes.
Was it recording at that time?
It was.
Were you able to ascertain whether it was connected to the cameras you saw?
It was.
How did you go about doing that?
So basically just looking at the current live video and comparing it to the surroundings, the vehicles that were there, our vehicles that were near the driveway, stuff like that.
Okay. What was the manner of the recording? Was it continuous, motion sensitive?
So later we found out that it was motion activated.
The videos that you were viewing at the home, did the DVR have a timestamp?
It did.
And were you able to check that timestamp for accuracy?
Yes.
How do you go about doing that, Detective?
Easiest way, you look at the timestamp on the screen and then look at your phone. And it was an hour slow. So basically 2 o'clock on the DVR would be 3 o'clock.
Okay. Do you have experience with similar video recording devices as the one you located at the defendant's home?
Yes.
And what is that experience roughly?
Basically throughout my career, approximately 9 years in investigations, we always go out and we collect surveillance footage. And a lot of DVRs, they may be different, but how you get the video off of them is similar. And so if you can get into a DVR, you can extract the video most of the times.
So you viewed live video while you were at the defendant's home?
Yes.
Check the timestamp?
Yes.
Did you then seize the DVR?
We did.
Okay. And were you able to examine it and try and find past videos?
Yes.
Did you find any videos from around the time of the crash at the Swan Boat Club?
We did.
And were you able to extract those from the DVR?
Yes.
Did you make copies of those portions of the recorded video?
Yes.
Did you place those into evidence?
We did.
Have you had an opportunity to review those recordings prior to court today?
Yes.
And the recordings that have been placed on People's Proposed Exhibit 8, are those the same as the ones you extracted from that digital video recorder?
Yes.
Judges, this time people would move to admit People's 8 surveillance videos from the defendant's home.
Your Honor, we would serve at this time just to see the video, hear it, and then make a decision.
I'll reserve ruling on the motion.
All right. Detective, you mentioned 4 cameras at the home. You've had an opportunity to review this exhibit, is that right?
Yes.
And what camera angles are we going to see on this video?
So specifically, you're going to see the one facing the main entry door of the residence, and then also the one on the barn, which is across the street, which gets the street and basically the driveway and a little bit of the home also.
Okay. And from around what time and what date are these recordings?
April 20th, 420, and So timestamp on the video is going to be approximately right around 2 o'clock, like 1:57 to 2 o'clock. But in real time, that would have been 2:57 or 3 o'clock.
And Detective, your role in this investigation, you know what time the crash at the Swan Boat Club was?
Right at 3 o'clock.
Okay. At this time, we move to Crawford. You may proceed.
You don't know if she's walking that way because of her age and health or because she's intoxicated. That's the only problem.
In what view is this, deputy or detective? Sorry.
So this is the camera across the street on the barn.
I wish they could zoom in on it. Ah, okay. Holy crap! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, she's done. After seeing that, she's done.
Thank you, Judge. People would again move for the admission of People's 8.
No objection, Your Honor. For prelim purposes.
It is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. And Detective, if you can tell us, that's the defendant's driveway we're seeing in that.
Yes,
And about how far is that from the Swan Boat Club?
approximately 500 feet.
No further questions for the Detective Sergeant, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. You've had opportunity to review my client's criminal history, am I correct?
Yes.
Objection, Judge. I can't imagine the relevance of this.
Okay,
Response.
I'll withdraw. Did you get a chance to review her driving history?
Objection. Same objection.
Response.
I'll withdraw.
Sustained. Don't continue down this line, Mr. Clovis.
I understand, Judge. Now, do you have any proof whatsoever, any at all, that my client didn't have a seizure when she took off in the vehicle that you just showed us? at a high rate of
Objection
speed?
calls for speculation.
He can answer whether he does or not. Maybe he does. We won't know until he answers.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
Can you guys say that question again, please?
Okay, do you have any reason not to believe that my client had a seizure that day?
Objection. It's a confusing question. It's a double negative. People would also object to relevance.
Your Honor.
Please rephrase the question.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Do you know if my client had a seizure at the moment that car took off in the video?
I wasn't in the car.
So the answer, I suppose, would be you don't know if she had a seizure. Is that correct?
I would not be able to answer that, no.
That's a fair answer. Are you aware of my client having a history of neuropathy?
Yes,
Did you go and check her while you're investigating this case as a detective, her medical records and her inpatient records back to November?
I believe we did do a search warrant for medical records, yes.
And was there confirmation that my client suffered from neuropathy?
I didn't look through the medical records.
Did you see anything that talked about her having any other medical problems like seizures?
The only medical.
Objection, Judge. I guess if there's records that Mr. Clovis wants to present as to his client's medical history, this is not the appropriate witness to get those in. He's free to call a medical witness on his own if that's evidence that he wants to get in at this stage of the proceedings.
I'm not asking to get any records, and the detective said he did a search warrant, he got the records, he's the officer in charge, and is there anything about seizures? That's within his knowledge.
With the answer, he had not reviewed the records. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
And you're the detective in charge of the case?
No,
Who's the detective?
Detective Modelinsky.
I don't have any other questions.
Can you redirect from the people?
No, Judge, thank you.
May the witness be excused.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will take a 10-minute break before the next witness.
Thank you, Judge.
All rise. Mr. Court's in recess. Be seated, please.
All right, so while they're taking a break, let me go over this really quickly with you guys. You've got a 30-year-old woman, an 11-year-old boy were in critical condition following it, while a 14-year-old boy, a 16-year-old girl, and an 18-year-old woman were in serious condition. Women ages 57, 62, 66, and 70 were treated for minor injuries. So that was, I wanted to see 2 children, which was 4-year-old Zane Phillips and his 8-year-old sister, Alana, were killed in the crash. Now, the defendant is 66 years old. Wanted to see I wanted to know more about the mother's injuries. I didn't really do a whole deep dive on that part. Let's go into that while we're waiting on this. There seems to be something here. WTGB.
Routine Action News.
You know, watching the videos, reading the comments, hearing what happened, it just heart-wrenching. I can't imagine for a father or mother to lose 2 children.
And we continue our team coverage at 6 tonight as we've learned the names of the 2 siblings killed when an alleged intoxicated driver slammed through a building and into a children's birthday party. That was on Saturday.
And 4-year-old Zane Phillips and 8-year-old Alana Phillips were pronounced dead at the scene of the crash. One of their family members still fighting for her life as we check in right now with 13 Action News reporter Sophie Bate. Sophie.
Yeah, Lee, we've been talking with one of Zane and Alana's family members. They tell us that the mother of those 2 children is still in the hospital in critical condition. The oldest brother of those 2 siblings is also in the hospital. He has broken bones and a collapsed lung, according to that family member, but he is expected to make a recovery. According to officials, a 31-year-old female and an 11-year-old male are still in critical condition. A 14-year-old male, as well as a 16 and 18-year-old females, are also in serious condition. 5 others, all over the age of 40, have minor injuries. Monroe County Sheriff's deputies have not yet released the name of the driver who allegedly caused this crash, but we do know she is a 66-year-old woman and she is being held in Monroe County Jail for operating a vehicle while intoxicated and causing death. Officials will not release her name until she is officially charged. We also know Verna's Tavern is under investigation, according to Sheriff Troy Goodenough. The tavern is just a few miles down the road from the boat club where that crash happened. The sheriff says that they believe the driver in this crash was at that tavern before the crash. The tavern's lawyer said in a statement, quote, "We are saddened beyond words by the news of this horrible tragedy."
Okay, hang on just a second. What does she left her house like that, right? Then she went to Verna's Tavern and then she did the boat club. Then she hit the boat club, or did she hit the boat club right after she drove off from her house? My understanding was she was doing it on her way back, right? And also, there were rumors swirling that she was mad at her husband or something. And so she was angry because he was going to be at the boat club. He was supposed to be there at probably at the bar at the boat club or something. Anyway, if anybody in the comments is more familiar with that, please let me know. I know Patty's from this area and she's really stayed on top of this case.
We ask for patience during the investigation and that the justice system be allowed to work to uncover the actual facts surrounding the accident. Now, I'm at the boat club right now. You can see behind me here, there's a memorial set up where the crash happened, a bunch of stuffed animals hanging up. We spoke with some of the mourners who are just devastated by what happened. According to the Monroe County prosecuting attorney, we're going to learn the name of that driver when they charge her and when she has an arraignment tomorrow. Lee.
All right, Sophie, thank you. This tragedy, the heartbreak, widespread, felt among certainly the community and the country as well. Michigan Funeral Home, just one of several businesses offering support to the family, grieving, mourning the loss of their two young children. 13 Action News reporter Claire Mitchell is live in Monroe after speaking with that funeral director. She's standing by. Claire.
Yeah, Lee, just an unimaginable situation that this family is going through, and the community realizes that. I'm standing in front of Rupp Funeral Home in Monroe, like you said, who has offered their services to both children at no charge. Now, the family has not officially confirmed that they are taking them up on their offer, but the manager of the funeral home behind me, Justin Miller, says it's there if they want it. He has two kids of his own. He told me he can't even imagine going through this. So when him and his team heard the news on Facebook, it wasn't even a question that they were going to offer it.
I can't imagine having to bury any of them, let alone both of them. It just breaks my heart for them to know that they're going to go through this process and to be in the hospital themselves and not know when they're going to be able to see their daughter and son.
And Miller also wanted to note he didn't do this so that people like myself could reach out to him and put it on TV. He said that's not the goal of his job. He did this solely to help the family. And that support goes far beyond Rupp Funeral Home. This community really stepping up. The sister of that mother creating a GoFundMe page over the weekend. I'm checking it now. We have reached $184,185 out of $200,000 raised. I'll be covering this more for the rest of the night. Back to you, Diane.
He's a cat.
We are following horrific breaking news here on this Saturday evening out of Monroe County. This update just into our newsroom. A pair of siblings killed, 15 others hurt when a vehicle slams into a building that was hosting a children's birthday party. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Action News Now. I'm Josh Krupp. I want to bring you the update from the Monroe County Sheriff that he just had. If you weren't able to see the full thing earlier on Action News Now, or our Facebook page. That update, again, coming from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office moments ago, siblings ages 5 and 8 years old killed after a vehicle with a suspected intoxicated driver slammed into the children's birthday party there in Monroe County. This happened at the Swan Boat Club in Berlin Township around 3 p.m. today. First responders tended to 15 victims at the scene, including adults and young children. There were 9 total people transported to nearby hospitals by either ambulance or helicopter. 6 of them were adults, 3 of them children. They all have serious and life-threatening injuries, according to the Monroe County Sheriff. There were several other people who were taken to area hospitals in private vehicles. An 8-year-old girl and her 5-year-old younger brother both died at the scene. The sheriff says the 66-year-old woman who was behind the wheel of the car that slammed into that building is in the Monroe County Jail tonight. Her name not being released at the moment, which is protocol in Michigan until the suspects are arraigned. They don't typically release their names. She's charged with operating while intoxicated, causing death, and more charges are likely, according to the sheriff. I'll play you that full update now from Monroe County just into our newsroom.
Well, hello, I'm Troy Goodenough. I'm the sheriff here in Monroe County. I want to thank, first of all, Berlin Township for allowing us to utilize their government building for this unfortunate, tragic announcement. Today at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern Time, emergency personnel were dispatched to 6332 Branchaw Road in Berlin Township, County of Monroe, regarding a motor vehicle that struck a building at the Swan Boat Club. The vehicle struck the north wall of the facility, entering the building, and came to rest approximately 25 feet inside the building, where a young child's birthday party was being held. Upon arrival, first aid was provided to approximately 15 victims, which included adults and young children. 9 of those victims were transported by ambulance and/or medical helicopter to local hospitals with serious life-threatening injuries. A total of 3 children and 6 adults were transported. Several others were transported by private vehicle to local hospitals. Unfortunately, in tragedy, 2 of the victims were pronounced deceased at the scene. This includes an 8-year-old female and a 5-year-old male who are siblings of each other. The 66-year-old female driver of the vehicle, who will not be identified at this time, has been taken into police custody for operating while intoxicated, causing death, and she's lodged at the Monroe County Jail. Additional criminal charges will likely be brought against the driver as the investigation proceeds. At this time, investigators are continuing to process evidence at the scene, identify victims, interview witnesses, and reunite family members. The scene was described by the first responders as extremely chaotic, with high level of emotions of those directly involved and those who witnessed this horrific incident. With me today are members of emergency first responders who were at the scene dealing with this tragedy. That includes Berlin Township Fire Department, Frenchtown Township Fire Department, Monroe Township Fire Department, Rockwood Fire Department, Monroe Community Ambulance, Huron Valley Ambulance, and the University of Michigan Survival Life Flight, who dispatched 2 helicopters. I'm going to remind everybody, this is an active investigation, with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office being the lead investigation agency, our Traffic Services Division, our Detective Bureau, our Youth Services Division, evidence technicians, our drone team, and our chaplain service. We were assisted at the scene by members of the Monroe Public Safety Department's Accident Investigation Team, Detective Bureau, Chaplain Services, along with the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, Accident Investigation Team, and the Michigan State Police. That's all I have today. Yes, ma'am.
There was a small police presence at Clemens Tavern. Is that where the suspect was prior to?
We have information that she may have been there, yes.
Are they being investigated?
We went in, we shut the business down, and we're in the process of executing a search warrant for information as to their business conducted at that day.
You said 9 transported with serious life-threatening injuries, 3 children, 6 adults, and then there were other people who also went to local hospitals. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. They were transported by private vehicle. Yes, ma'am.
So how many? 15 total victims, right?
That's what our preliminary estimates are. Yes.
How many people were inside the structure?
We're having a difficult time determining that because of the mass, the scene, and trying to communicate with individuals that were there that could tell us how many people were in there. As you know, as I said by the words of the first responders, it was chaotic.
There's 2 buildings there.
Yes.
So the area that the party was in is separate from, say, the boat club. So there's a mix of people that were back and forth between the 2 areas, so it's complicated right now, trying to get everybody that was there, some people who had left the scene, the people who were involved in the party, and then the people who were actively participating in boat club activities.
And it's Chief Wendy Stevens from Frenchtown Fire.
All right, so that was the
So I just had a question that I was thinking about is when because I do think this is going to end up obviously in court. We're going to get to hear all these different witnesses in that tavern talk about her. Now, that time of the day, I can't imagine it was too full. But if you're talking about an area where there's a lot of retired people, it could be. It could be. So I would really like to hear what exactly was going down because it seems to me like she was drunk when she left the house. Sh I wonder if she's like a functional drunk. You know what I'm talking about? Like, because she didn't seem to be slurring so much when she was talking in that video. But at the same time, it's like it's kind of hard to tell, really. She had a way about her where you could tell she was really trying hard to sound correct, if that makes sense. It was just the way that she was speaking and pronouncing her words as she was trying, kind of like that, kind of like I'm doing now. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if it's back. Yeah, they're back. I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. There we go.
People may call their next witness.
Judge, people call Lieutenant Brian Quinn.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated. Lieutenant, if you could state your name and spell your name for the record.
Brian Quinn, BRIANQUINN.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, at this time, people are going to admit a stipulated exhibit, People's 9, which is the Bosch CDR download from defendant's 2017 Ford Edge.
No, for the record, that's been stipulated to be admitted by the parties, and it is admitted.
Wait, is he talking about her dash camera? She had dash camera?
Good morning, sir.
Lieutenant, what do you do for a living?
I am a lieutenant for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office?
24 years.
Is that your entire law enforcement career?
No.
Where else have you worked?
In New Jersey.
Okay. As a peace officer there too?
Yes.
How long did you work there?
10 years.
So you've been a police officer for 34 plus years?
Yes, sir.
What is your role in the sheriff's department right now?
I am technically, I oversee several divisions within the Sheriff's Office, the Traffic Services Division, the Expediter's Office, and our Civil Division.
Okay. Lieutenant, what is the Traffic Services Division?
The Traffic Services Division, we have sheriff's deputies that are assigned to enforce traffic laws on secondary roadways within the county of Monroe. We also investigate serious and fatal traffic crashes.
Okay. Prior to your position as lieutenant, were you the lead of the Traffic Services Division?
I was as a sergeant, and I am as a lieutenant.
Okay. In total, how long have you been the lead of the Traffic Services Division?
Since 2019.
As a result of that, you received a lot of specialized training in traffic services.
I have.
Accident reconstruction.
I have.
And the retrieval and interpretation of electronic data recording. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Judge, we have a second stipulation here with defense that the court qualify Lieutenant Quinn as an expert in electronic data recording analysis.
That's correct, Your Honor. It's stipulated to, for prelim purposes. Thank you.
He is so qualified.
Thank you, Judge. Lieutenant, do you have a copy of the People's Exhibit 9?
I do.
And is that a report from the EDR of defendant's 2017 Ford Edge?
It is.
How did you come about that document?
This document was given to me by Deputy Nicholas Burkhardt.
And do you know how he obtained it?
Deputy Burkhardt is a technician for Bosch, meaning he can image the information off of the event data recorder, but he is not an analyst. I am, so he would have to give the report to me to read.
Okay. What's the difference there, Lieutenant?
The technician basically will do the image. They will just briefly look over the report. They will look at ignition cycles, but the analyst covers the entire report. We look at the braking, steering, percentage of throttle, miles per hour.
Okay. So let's back up just a little bit. Just for the record, explain what a EDR is as it relates to a vehicle.
The EDR is an event data recorder. It's known as black box, if you will. It captures information while a vehicle is in motion. If a vehicle is involved in a traffic crash, if there's airbag deployment, the information will become locked on the EDR itself. However, if a vehicle is involved in a crash where there is no airbag deployment, but it was enough motion within the vehicle to wake up the EDR, it could capture that information, but at times the information will be overwritten.
To that end, Lieutenant, what's the difference between, say, a controlled stop and a crash that brings a vehicle to a stop?
Control stop is one, an operator applying the brake. A non-control stop is one who crashes into another vehicle, building, pole, etc.
Okay. And so when there's a crash into a building, pole, etc., what does that do as it pertains to the electronic data recorder?
Well, again, if there is airbag deployment, it will lock in that information at the time what that vehicle was doing at that moment when the vehicle crashed.
Okay. And was there airbag deployment in this crash?
I believe so. But there was 2 events captured on this record.
As to the
There had to have been.
Your Honor, just let the record reflect that he's refreshing his memory by looking at notes.
Yes, then please refer to your notes and then answer after you have.
Yes. May I reflect?
She had to have had the bags turned off for them not to come on with that impact. And also, she would have been a lot worse in condition if they didn't go off. She walked away with a sprained arm or a broken arm. And that was probably from the airbag.
Okay. So that would be.
Yeah, there were airbags. Okay.
Folks in traffic services would term a triggering event.
Yes.
And explain what a triggering event is.
So that can incorporate many factors. If a vehicle is in motion and, for instance, a deer would jump out in front of the roadway and an operator would veer their vehicle to the left or to the right, the event data recorder, usually it's always sleeping. That will wake up the data recorder. The data recorder is basically saying to itself, something's happening here, we need to start to record. It will start to record for a little bit. However, if the vehicle continues in motion and there's no impact, the EDR will go back to sleep, basically. But when there's airbag deployment, the EDR will lock in all the information that the vehicle was doing at the time of impact.
Okay. What kind of information does it lock in?
Braking speed, acceleration, steering, percentage of throttle, if lights were activated, seatbelt activation.
For what?
Your microphone got uncentered.
This guy?
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. And for what period of time does it record these statuses of the vehicle?
Every vehicle is different. I've seen some recordings or images where it could be 10 seconds pre-impact and 5 seconds post, or 5 seconds pre and 5 seconds post. So every vehicle is different.
You keep using the term image. What does that mean as it relates to a EDR?
Basically, we're taking a picture of what the EDR has stored. We're not downloading anything. We're just taking an image of it.
So that data exists on the EDR, and the term that analysts use is image it to retrieve that information.
Correct.
What about this EDR, Lieutenant? What kind of information does it record? Or how, let's ask it this way, how long does this EDR record?
5 seconds pre-impact.
Okay. Does this EDR record throttle percentage?
It does.
What is throttle percentage?
Basically, how much pressure your foot is on the gas.
Okay. And so if I'm understanding your testimony, this image, this report should tell us how much throttle percentage was applied to the gas of this vehicle for 5 seconds before the crash.
Correct.
Do you have the exhibit in front of you?
I do.
Do you see the section that refers to the throttle percentage?
I do.
Can I have some clarifications? The first crash or the second crash?
I'm sorry. So, Lieutenant, this is referring to the second event captured on the event data recorder, correct?
Correct.
And all the questions I ask you subsequently will be about the second event.
Correct.
Just to lay a little foundation here, Lieutenant, did you have an opportunity to review this case in its entirety?
I have.
And are you familiar with the real world happenings that caused the events on this EDR?
Yes.
And you indicate there's 2 events. What was the real world happening that caused the first event to be recorded?
The operator was involved in a previous traffic crash.
And do you know the nature of that?
I do.
And what was it?
It was a vehicle that was in motion in reverse that struck another vehicle.
Okay. And that's the first event that the EDR imaged.
Correct.
And it also imaged a second event.
Correct.
And do you know what the real world happening was that caused that image to be locked in on the EDR?
I do.
And what was that?
A motor vehicle striking a building.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge and understanding, that building's the Swan Boat Club, right?
Correct.
So turning back to the report itself, do you have the section on throttle in front of you?
I do.
Or throttle percentage, I should say. Lieutenant, how does that, so it records back 5 seconds. Is that right?
Correct.
And then how does it give you that data?
So when the vehicle struck the building, of course, that crash was recorded. So the EDR itself can record 5 seconds prior to that event taking place. So that's the information that I've received on this document.
And then does it show you, at 5 seconds on down to the crash?
It does.
Okay. And then if you could tell the court for each, what increments of time does it record?
Half a second.
Okay. Could you review the exhibit and proffer for the court what the throttle percentage is for each of those time increments prior to the crash?
At -5 seconds, 0. -4.5 seconds, 59.3%. -4 seconds, 0. -3.5 seconds, 80.1%. 3 seconds, 82%. 2.5 seconds, 0. 2 seconds, 100%. -1.5, 0. -1.0, 97.9%. -0.5, 97.0%. And 0, which is the point of impact, is 96.6%.
So at the time, how do you interpret that as to what throttle percentage, or what's the real world implication of that, Lieutenant? Let's just ask it that way.
From my training, anything that's 70% or higher, 70 to 100, is actually 100%.
What do you mean by that?
The gas pedals to the floor.
Gas pedals to the floor.
Does this event data recorder record braking?
It does.
Does that report have a section on braking?
It does.
And what does it report? What real world event does it show within the image?
It recorded every half of a second from 5 seconds to the point of impact.
And what does it indicate about braking? Is it a percentage? What information does it relay?
Whether or not the brakes were engaged, it's either on or off.
Okay. At any point in the 5 seconds prior to this crash, does the report reflect that the brakes were engaged?
Yes.
And if you could, Lieutenant, going through the 5 seconds, again, give us the indication time-wise whether or not the brakes were engaged in this event.
Negative 0.5 seconds off. Negative 4.5 seconds off. Negative 4 seconds off. Negative 3.5 seconds off. Negative 3 seconds off. Negative 2.5 seconds off. Negative 2 on. Negative 1.5 seconds off. Negative 1.0 seconds off. Negative 0.5 seconds off. 0 point of impact off.
Lieutenant, does this event data recorder also record speed?
It does.
Okay. First of all, I'll ask you this. You know that this, you're familiar with the scene of this crash.
I am.
And that it takes place in a parking lot. You familiar with that?
I am.
Do you know what the statutory speed limit in a parking lot is?
So looking at the video and the roadway itself, Branshaw Road actually runs between the parking lot and the building itself. So that's considered still the roadway where the vehicle was being operated on. What we have here is a private road. So with private roads, the HOA, homeowners association, or any other type of association have to have something within their deeds, an HOA agreement regarding speed. So at one time, I do recall seeing a 10 mile per hour sign, which is yellow. Now, yellow is a caution speed. Somebody, I assume, put up a 10 mile an hour speed limit that's black and white, which can be confusing with a state colored speed limit like 25 in a residential. So being that Branshaw is a private road, because it does say a private road could be 25 miles per hour, that even private or not, an operator has to operate their vehicle carefully and prudent so they can maintain control of their vehicle. So where the vehicle curves to the right prior to impact, the vehicle is still on Branshaw Road, which would be 25 miles per hour.
Statutorily 25?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have the section on speed that's contained in the event data recorder report in front of you?
I do.
And if you could just go through one last time, Lieutenant, and indicate to us what the defendant's speed was 5 seconds prior to the impact and on down.
Negative 5 seconds, 29.5 miles per hour. Negative 4.5 seconds, 29.6 miles per hour. Negative 4 seconds, 30.3 miles per hour. Negative 3.5 seconds, 3.6 miles per hour. Negative 3 seconds, 30.7 miles per hour. Negative 2.5 seconds, 31.7 miles per hour. Negative 2 seconds, 32.9 miles per hour. Negative 1.5 seconds, 35.5 miles per hour. Negative 1 second, 37.8 miles per hour. Negative 0.5 seconds, 40.9 miles per hour. 0 point of impact, 44.3 miles per hour.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Judge, I don't have any further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, I got a little confused on the what's a public road, what's not a public road as to this area. Could you please just explain it to me? The road in front, you know where my client lives?
I do.
Okay. The road, the gravel road that's in front of her house, is that a public road or private road?
Private.
And the parking lot that, the parking lot that's in front of the Swan Boat Club, is that private?
The parking lot itself would be private. But Bradshaw, again, runs through the parking lot and the building. So reviewing the video from the crash, to me, she was still on Bradshaw Road and then leaves the roadway and then crashes into the building.
All right. Just so I understand it, and I've driven there a few times. If I go down this gravel road in front of my client's house, what's the name of that road?
Bradshaw Road.
Okay, and that's a private road?
Correct.
Okay. And then if the car, as in the video, veers a little bit to the left and strikes Swan Boat Club, that's a parking lot that it's veering over where cars park, correct?
I believe where the curve is, negotiating the curve to the left would be the private parking lot for Swan Boat Club, but the vehicle veered to the right, off of the roadway and into the building.
Okay, that's correct. So that's all private, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so right to the building from her house is all private roadway.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Can you redirect from the people?
Just briefly about the parking lot versus roadway issue. So Deputy Quinn, or Lieutenant Quinn, you've been to the scene, is that correct?
Not the night that it occurred, but a few nights after.
Okay, so you've had opportunity to personally view the parking lot of the boat club and Bradshaw Road?
I have.
Okay, and is that paved at all?
It is not.
Is it lined at all?
It is not.
Are there parking spaces or lane markers?
There are not.
So is it fair to say that the Bradshaw Road blends into the parking lot of the Swan Boat Club?
That's a fair statement.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
Can you reprocess to those questions?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So when the prosecutor said that Bradshaw Road blends into the parking lot, what do you understand that as, blends?
It's all dirt. There's no markings that show a shoulder or a specific parking spot, space, a loading zone.
And I guess the bottom line is that the parking lot and that roadway is all private gravel, correct? Is that what you said earlier?
Private dirt from what I remember.
Okay, thank you. No questions.
No follow-up to that, Judge. Thank you.
May the witness be excused.
Yep.
By the people as well. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
People ready on any of the witnesses at this time?
I don't know what happened. The stream is frozen. A couple of technical difficulties, I guess. I don't know if I learned a whole lot from him, to be honest. I mean, if they say that she put her brake on, does that help? That might say, I don't think that's going to determine whether or not that fights the whole seizure argument. She could have put the brake on if she was having a seizure. You know, I don't think. I think that's the only argument that really is that they have. But I just don't see how, looking at that video, that first video of her driving off, and then they're gonna say about this Vern's Tab, whatever tavern. I think there's just so much against her. She is so not going to. This isn't going to end well at all for her.